Hi guys, this is Tia from Nail Dip Studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think I have a really good video for you today. I am the owner of Nail Dip Studio, an online nail boutique that specializes in acrylic dip shades. So if you're interested in any of the products you've seen in today's video, you can head over to my website. So let's jump into this video. So I am showing you the double bowl method, and this is the method that I prefer to use to soak off my last dip application. As you can see, it was a rough week for your girl, and I cracked several nails and just beat my hands up. I was sort of moving orders out, moving, changing rooms and things of that nature. So yeah, it was a rough week, and I am going to go through the process of soaking everything off. Now, most of, in this particular clip, the products and the equipment that I'm using came from like the Dollar Tree. So the two bowls, the pads that you're seeing here, these are pads that I get from the Dollar Tree, and they come whole like that. What I do is I like to cut them in half so that I have the use of now converting one sheet into two strips, and that allows me to soak my nails off, and it really starts to remove a lot of that the product, and it gets all of the product off. Like I don't have any leftover acrylic from the last application when I use this method. Now the water that I'm using is probably halfway filled in the second bowl, and I microwave that for about 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but no more than that. And it also depends on the strength of your microwave, the wattage. So if you have a larger wattage microwave, then you would use less time. Lower, you would use more, just so that it's warm. You don't want it boiling, but you want it warm. And I pour in my acetone. Now, I'm in the DMV area, and we've been getting snow and all kinds of like just Arctic weather. So I'm showing you a little tip here where I will take a little bit of that healing ointment, and again, it got it from CVS, but I like to put that on my nails, especially if I know that I have any cuts, minor cuts, any sort of hangnails, things of that nature, where I may have some exposed skin and I may not want the acetone to penetrate that. I put a little bit of that healing ointment on there, and it acts and serves as a barrier. So as you can see, the areas where I didn't put the ointment, you can see where the acetone penetrated, but where I did put the ointment, nothing's happening. That acetone is not able to sort of penetrate that barrier. And so that's just a little trick for those of you, if you have any cuts on your hand, use that and you can still proceed with your removal application. So I'm taking a cotton swab here, and I'm just using some acetone, and I am wiping off my hands, just making sure that I'm getting off all of the product and any potential residue that may still be lingering on my fingers. Again, just a tip that I like to do. It aids in your ability to clean up your nails and prolong your dip manicure. And it also, if you struggle with just at the end of your application, just having, the leftover acrylic, if you do this ahead of time, you won't have to worry about that massive cleanup on the back end and potentially spoiling the dip application that you just overlaid on your nails, because now you have acetone on it. So again, just a little tip that I would throw out there. So I'm actually going to, because again, my nails and my hands have been extremely, extremely dry, and I'm using some of the salt scrub that I got from, I believe, TJ Maxx, and I prefer to get the salt scrubs that are, I can actually see the oil at the top of the container. So if I can't see any type of oil for me and my hands, and I have dry hands, then it's just not a good match. I always tend to lean towards those scrubs that you can really see the oil, because that's going to help me and in exfoliating some of the dead skin that you have on your hand. So that's what I'm doing here. So I just took a little bit of the sea salt as well as some hand soap, and I am just really rubbing that in and exfoliating that dead skin, lifting up any, dead leftover product or dead skin, even touching around the cuticle area of my hands and just really touching all aspects, because I really want to treat myself. If you are doing your nails from home and you want to elevate your dip service, and you want to sort of treat yourself to like a little exfoliation, add on, then I would definitely say to get some salt, like a salt scrub and some soap. And while the water from the second bowl, it's clean and it's still warm, it's not boiling, but it should be warm to the touch. I promise you, if you try this, leave me a comment below. But if you try something like this, let me know how you like your hands afterwards, because I'm telling you, it's going to change the game for you. And you don't have to buy any salt scrub, but this container was only, I think, $3.99 at the TJ Maxx by me, so that's why I grabbed it. But you can actually use your own salt, a little bit of olive oil, grapeseed oil, and some hand soap, and you can make your own little scrub if you wanted to. But I promise you, you can actually see that my hands are looking a lot smoother, as well as softer. You can see that that dead skin is gone. They look moisturized, and that's really what you want to go for. You want the moisture in your hands, because that's going to keep your hands looking young. Again, if you want to, my hands are, I'm almost 50. I know. My hands, and usually in women, that's where the age sort of is shown. You can't see that in my hands. Like, you would never be able to say, oh yeah, she, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Yes, look at those hands. Nicely, nicely exfoliated. They're moisturized, and we haven't even done the manicure. This is in prep of the manicure. So this is, again, one of those things that I have been doing for years. I think that it shows in just the way that my hands look. I don't have hard aged hands, and that's because I really do try to take care of them. So again, just some little tips and tricks so we can sort of update and add to our home manicures. Now, I'm going to go in and cut my nails a little shorter, because I'm going for a shorter look this time. Again, like I said, I had some damaged nails because I was moving boxes around. I was changing a room out, and I did do some damage to my nails. So now I'm just cutting them down and just cleaning them up. And so I'm going to do that now. Now that we've trimmed all of our nails, I've cut my nails down. I have them in the length that I pretty much want. I'm now going to go in and start the shaping process. Shaping process is very important. It's important because you want to get to your desired shape during this stage. You probably want to be about 80%, if not 90% there. So at this stage, this is the time to figure out, are you going for a short, squared look? Are you going for more of a rounded look? Are you going for an almond look? Are you going for more of a coffin look? Are you going for like this ballerina look? What type of look are you going for? Once you have that determined, then you can start the shaping process. I always, always, always stress slow and steady so that you're not overfiling your nails. You're not taking off too much of your natural nail, but you are creating the shape that you want your final result to sort of mimic. This is going to be key. I'm using the 180 side. If you're new to the channel, let me explain to you about a handheld file. Hand files can come in different variations of grit. You can get a nail file that's 80/80, which is in my opinion very abrasive. It's going to remove a lot. The smaller the number, the coarser the file. The higher the number, the softer the grit is, and I especially prefer that for beginners or those that may be just a little bit unsure. Using something around like a 180 is going to be your best bet. It allows you to remove and shape your natural nail without taking too much of the product off. And you'll see as we progress through the video that I will always sort of refer back to, especially once we do the dip application, you'll see that I will come back to using that 180 side. I do use my 100 side of the file, but I usually use that for bulk. So that's just a rule of thumb. If you're going to be using the 100 side, I use it for bulk, or if I have a thicker natural nail. So if you are shaping, if your nails are thick, then you can use the 100 side because you probably need a little bit more assistance because your nails are already thick. If you have normal to thin nails, I would say use the 180 side because that's going to be your best bet. It takes off enough and allows you to shape enough of the nail without over directing it too much. And so that's just, just a little tip. So now as we move forward into the actual dry manicure, I'm going to use some of my cuticle softener. And I'm just putting a couple of drops around the cuticle area. And I'm going to let that sit for a few seconds. And it's just to help soften the cuticle area and the sidewalls. Once that is done, then I'm going to use my pusher to start pushing back and separating the cuticle from my actual nail, because this is going to allow me to see what I really need to cut. And my goal is, with the exfoliant that we just did, utilizing the cuticle softener to push up and to help remove some of that cuticle, as well as I will start to cut and sort of trim around the area just to make sure that things are smoother and cleaner, and I am getting the manicured look. This honestly is I would say, game changer. If you can perfect this is going to add to the end result, because everyone wants that nice smile, cuticle smile around their nails. That's the money shot. This is how you get that. So I like to use my cuticle softener to push back my cuticles, and then once I'm finished with that, I'll wipe everything off so I can see exactly what I need to trim and cut. Now, as we start to use the nail clippers, the cuticle clippers, and or if you're using cuticle scissors, you want to make sure that you're not overcutting and damaging your nails. You want to do any cutting, any trimming before you go in with your e-file to do the sort of final touches, if you will. You're going to use, and again, this particular grit is going to be about a 180. And so what you saw me sort of doing, I will feel for texture. If it feels too coarse, I know it's a more abrasive grit. If it's just, soft enough where I feel like, yeah, I can go on my natural nail, then I know that it's going to be a higher grit. And that's what I want. I want something that's not going to be too abrasive. Again, this is not your traditional acrylic. You don't need all of those harsh, abrasive files. You need something that is going to texture the surface just enough so that the product has some grooves to really sink into and bond to your nail, but you also don't want to create any trauma. And so I always use somewhere around the 180. This particular one may even be like a 220. I think it may be a 220. And notice I'm not going past the setting 3. I don't want all of that friction on my natural nail. I don't. Now, right here, you see there was a little piece that I did not get, and I could have filed that off, but I wanted to go in with my nippers to actually like just pull it in and cut that off. That's an actual hangnail for me. And so what you're seeing me doing, I am basically testing to see whether or not I should pull or if I should cut. If I pull and tug, if I tug on it a little bit and I feel like, wait, I don't like that feeling, because we've all done that before where you pull on something and you just rip it out and it's like, oh crap, you're bleeding or something of that nature. So I always try to test before I do anything, and that's going to tell me whether or not I need to just cut where I am or if I have any wiggle room to actually slide that off and remove that safely without causing injury to my hand or to my actual nail. So I am using my e-file. This e-file I got off of Amazon. My last one, I actually broke that. We won't discuss that, no judgment, but I did. I broke it and I was like, dang. But this file I really, really like. I like the fact that, again, so easy, so smooth, easy to fit your e-file bits into. You won't have any trouble. That's pretty much what happened with the last file that I had. I had ordered some new e-bits and I put one in and I could not get the bit. I just couldn't get the piece out, and I tried everything, and the piece actually ended up breaking off into the actual hand device, similar to what I'm holding in my hand now, and it was a mess. So I just ordered a new one. So what I'm doing now is just cleaning up around that the cuticle area and really creating that professional look. This is the professional look that a lot of you say, hey, I want to get that. How do I perfect this? This is how you do it. You push your cuticles back first. You trim anything that needs to be trimmed. You go in and you smooth out your surface, your actual natural nail, utilizing the one of the bits that you have. And again, you can get this from Amazon. I prefer like a 180. You can get like a 220, 240 to use that to actually provide some texture, but to smooth. I know it may sound, but you need that. And then I use my diamond ball bit to polish everything around the cuticle and the side walls, and that's going to again just keep everything nice, clean, smooth, and cohesive, so that now when you go and do your nails, you don't have all of that extra skin overlay just hanging down. It's nice and it's clean and it looks amazing. And to see right here, sometimes I even use that bit to file if you have callousy skin like towards your free edge, and that may be because of the way you hold your pen, or maybe you are a cashier, maybe you're utilizing your hand, maybe you're an accountant, and you're using, you know, that your keyboard, and you're constantly getting, you know, just some harder skin right there, I like to use this diamond ball bit to smooth that off, and also to file off any of that sort of callousy skin or thicker skin that I may have. And I'm telling you, it works wonders. If you have a husband or a boyfriend that has some rough callousy skin, this is what I use to remove that as well. It is really, really, really a nice tool to have, and you can actually have several of them. I prefer using the bigger one for the skin, and as you can see, I'm using it on my skin, and it's not breaking my skin. It's just to smooth, it's to polish, and it's to remove anything that may be rough or just not needed anymore on my nails. Okay, so in this clip, we're going to be going in with a very simple Valentine's Day design. I'm using the shade Interview. Very cute shade. Very, very, very cute shade. It's almost like a beige peach shade that is so adorable. Oh, I love this shade so much. It's like, if you don't like white, I used to have clients that just did not want white on anything other than their toes. They didn't want it on their hands. And I would always have to play around with those neutrals and nudes that had like a white base but had some variation of tint, but not too much tint. Interview is one of those shades that, you know, I know that if I was still practicing and doing nails and accepting clients, that this would be a shade that I would probably run through because it's just so good. It is a shade that is timeless. It's season. It's all season, and you really do get a very, very good color payoff once you use this type of shade. It's beautiful, and you can actually do designs on top of this shade, and they will really pop. Different from a white, but it's still a level of poppage that is, I'm here for it. It's really cute. So as you know, I go in with my alcohol and I will wipe my natural nails off. Once that's dried, I will go in with step number 1, which is the actual primer, and prime my nails. So you saw me do that. Now we're going to move into creating that C curve. So if you have flat nails, and a lot of people have flat nails, they have concave nails that make, or ski lift nails that sort of dent it, they underflip, right? So if your nails underflip, you really want to watch this step, because this is the step that's going to help create height, and it's also going to start to create a curvature that is now outward instead of inward. So this is what I do. I will use step number 2, which is the base coat. And for the most part, for this particular section here, we're going to be using step number 2, which is the base. We're going to use that to actually start our first layer, which will be the clear, but we're going to create the C curve. And in order to create your C curve, I like to go midway, the midway point of my natural nail. So if your nails are longer, you're going to be using, you have more nail real estate. If your nails are shorter, you have shorter real estate. So based off of, as you can see, I'm only going halfway because I don't have a lot of real estate to work with here. But it's still going to get the job done and create enough curvature so that I can actually see it and my nails are not flat. And I love it. If your nails are already curved, if you already have a natural curved nail, then I would say you don't have to do this step because it's going to probably over exaggerate the curvature that you already have. So instead of stopping midpoint, I would probably take it 3/4 of the way back and have my clear go almost to the cuticle, but not quite there, because you still want to have a protected barrier from the pigment so that it's not necessarily depositing straight into the nail. So that's what I would do if I already had a curved nail. If you don't have that, if that's not something that you actually struggle with or you have, then you would go this route. And so I like to add a little little height, little something, so that I can get my C curve going and rolling. And forgive the noise in the background if you hear. Those are the snow plow machines. We got snow last night and they're cleaning it out in the background, so you may hear some noise. So as you can see right here, I am going again 3/4 of the way, avoiding the side walls and the cuticle area and dipping my nail at an angle. Now, if your powder, if you have, I would say half of your powder is gone, and as you can see, I use this shade a lot. Half of it is gone. You now may have to pick the powder up and tilt it to get that same sort of angled effect. Just again, apply your step number 2, 3/4 of the way, avoiding the side walls, always sweeping your free edge because you want to create that seal. You want to create that grip. My powder is halfway gone, so I'm going to pick my powder up and tilt it at a 45-degree angle and then put my finger in it, and it's going to give me the same results. Okay, tap off the excess powder back into your container and proceed on. Now that everything has been, all your fingers have been dipped, let's brush off any extra powder. And again, I have down a little towel, but you can also use a paper towel if you need to. And I have a small little ramekin, little bowl. Got it from the Dollar Tree. They usually come 4 in a pack, but it does help catch a lot of the product. And I also have it's a dust machine that I have on the side that also collects any dust that I may have, because if you're doing your nails in the house, it's going to become dusty around your station, and you just want to use something to help remove some of that dust. So I'm using that now. Now, as you can see, I took my brush, still using step number 2, and I am using smaller strokes. I am being very careful. I am, instead of dipping the brush back into the actual container, I flipped it over. Why? Because you have product on your stem that will naturally start to come down with gravity. And as you're using your brush, you're not going to have to go back into your liquid to resaturate the brush. Just utilize the product that's coming down from the stem. And that should be enough to replenish and to help you cover your nail in its entirety. Just a little side note, if anyone was interested. Again, brushing off most of the product, putting the brush directly on the spot where I last stopped, pulling it and pushing the product up and then down. And why am I doing that? Because I want to let the product go. I want to use the product to find the grooves, to find the space, and to naturally saturate and get into those areas to create the perfect C curve around my cuticle line, my smile line around my cuticle line. That's what I'm basically saying. And you'll be able to see that once I pull my finger out of the dip powder. By placing the product on the nail, pulling down, and then pushing back, you allow the product to naturally find its place. It's not forced. It's not over-directed. It's literally you letting the product find its place. Put the brush down, pull down, brush down, flip over. Take your time going around your side walls. Sweep that free edge. Dip. Hold for maybe 5 seconds or so. Tap, tap. Do not dust anything off and move on to the next finger. This is an excellent way to do your nails. Now that everything all 5 fingers is complete, we're going to go ahead and get the brush and start to dust off the powder. Okay. Definitely want to make sure you dust off the powder, any extra, because if you don't, that powder is going to go onto that brush and you're going to put it back into step number 2. Your step number 2 will start to change colors because the pigment from the powder that you did not dust off is now saturating the bristles. And as such, when you put that brush back into that container, it's going to change the color. So here's a side tip. We're about to go into spring and summer. If you know you want to wear a light color, like you're wearing Interview, you're wearing white, you're wearing cream and sugar, shades like that, then I would have a separate base coat for those colors. Okay, separate base coat for those colors. And right here, it was just a little bit of, I would say, overrun. So what you saw me doing was pushing that back into place while it was still damp before it dried versus letting it dry and now I have to file it. Okay. Again, nothing but tips and tricks over here. So as we use step number 2, let the product find its natural position. Flip the brush over if you need a little bit more because you feel like the other side is getting a little dry. No problem. Take your powder. If it's halfway gone, hold it. Tilt the powder in your hand. Put your finger in. Tap off the extra. That is the way you want to do it. Again, putting the brush down. See how I put it down and I pushed down and went back up? We're going to complete this on all of our fingers because this is the way and this is the easiest way if you really want to perfect your dip manicure. It's not hard. It's just taking the time. If I'm not recording a video, I can do my nails in maybe an hour, and that's from start to finish. If I'm recording a video, it takes me longer because I have to record a clip, look at the clip, come back to the clip, make sure I'm in frame, so on and so forth. So it may take me 3 hours to do my nails because I'm constantly looking at the clips to go back and forth. But with all of that said, the end result is still amazing. And it's not just because I did nails, but it's the technique and showing you all the technique of how to do your nails so that you can actually have professional looking nails from home. And I think everybody can agree to that. Like you want that look. You want those compliments where it's like, wow, your nails look really good, right? Or you want that chick that you can't stand at work and you have to be in that, Teams meeting with to look at your hands and say, wow, that color is really vibrant on you. And for her to IM you, hey, great meeting today. What color is that you're wearing? None of your business. No, that's the name of the color. I think I am going to name a shade, none of your business, just so oh, I'm Shady Boots. Okay, let me get back on track. So I'm going through, doing my layers, dipping everything, tapping off any extra powder. And you know, if you're new to my channel, I typically do somewhere between 4 and 5 layers. I don't do 3 layers. 3 layers does not work for me. So I need a little bit more. And if you struggle with your nails cracking, you know, or chipping, add more layers. If you do 3, if you did, let's just say 3 layers, so you would do your base, maybe 2 color layers and a clear. Then next time go to 4 and see how you like it. If that doesn't work for you, go to 5 and then see how you like it. It is going to be slightly thicker, but not overly thick. It's not going to give you chiclet. Nah, it's not. But it's going to give you enough strength where you don't have to fear that your nails won't hold up or that you can't, you know, accidentally hit your hand and your nails just shatter. And now you have this, you know, monstrosity to go and clean up or completely have to soak off. Like, so think about your layers based off of your activity. If you have lighter activities, then you can probably get away with 3 layers. And if your nails are strong, thicker, you can definitely get away with 3 layers. If your nails are on the thin side, they're softer, and you need a little bit more strength, then you're probably going to have to go up to 4 to 5. Now, I don't go past 5 because I find that it's too thick for me, and it doesn't give me the look that I want. I still want that thin acrylic look, but I don't want it too thin where I know that if I touch, you know, if I bend my nail or use my hand in the wrong way, that I'm going to break a nail. I don't want that. So right now, what I'm doing is encapsulating everything. You have to encapsulate your nails with clear. Not doing that will basically have you fouling off the pigment. This pigment is connected to the powder, but if you don't put a protective barrier between the nail file and the powder, it's just going to foul off. It's just going to come off. So you always want to dip your nails in the clear powder that you started with to encapsulate your nails. The next thing that you want to do is make sure that you're dusting off. Once you do that, dust off all of your clear, any other powder. Make sure you're getting underneath your nails, that you're removing any extra powder. And you're going to go in with step number 3, which is the bond. That is going to start the curing process. And because I use a lot of layers, I put in and I use a lot of bond. Put as much bond as you want. I usually go in 2 to 3 times with my bond just to ensure that it's really penetrating those layers and starting to cure them. You don't want uncured nails, because now you're not going to really be able to file them the way that you need to file them. And when I'm filing, I always try to check the strength of my nails, and I do that by tapping on my nails. So I'll tap. If I hear that, then I know it's okay to start the filing process. If I don't hear that, then I need to let my nails sit and I need to let the bond do its job. And I may need to do that for another minute or 2. So go grab some water, you know, go use the restroom, go, you know, check something, turn the TV on, do something, and then come back. And again, as long as you hear this sound, then you know it's okay for you to actually start the filing process. One of the things that I will say that helps with bulk, and if your nails have a tendency to flare at the ends, is shaping your nails using, if you notice, I'm using my thumb to stabilize my nail, but I'm actually also using it to push that skin back underneath so that I can start to use the nail file to underfile and file off some of that bulk, because that's where some of that flare is coming from. So you want to go on the sides, but you also want to make sure that you're going underneath and you're removing all of that overage that you really just don't even need. That's going to tremendously improve the wideness of your nails. It's going to give you more of a tapered, straighter line if that's what you're looking for. It's not going to have your nails just looking like they are like flared jeans. Like, nobody wants to have bell bottom nails. Like, the hell, like, that's just not, if that's your thing, that's your thing. That's not my thing. I don't want that. I don't want to look like I have on bell bottoms on my, I refuse. It's a negative. So again, filing using the 180 side, and I'm using this towel so that you can actually see how much product is coming down or coming off. I'm not trying to take off a lot of product. If you are over filing your nails and you have all this powder and all this dust and all of this product coming off, then you put too much product on in the first place. This, I think, is, in my opinion, just the perfect amount of product that will give you longevity. And if I'm not shooting a video, I can literally wear my dip application for 3 weeks if I'm not shooting a video. If I know I have to shoot a video week after week after week, it's no big deal for me. I could go with like 3 layers because I can. But for filming purposes, I don't cheat you from what I actually would do in normal circumstances. So I give you that sort of normal view. I'm going to walk you through the whole process. I talk through the whole video for the majority of the time, just because I really want you to get it down packed. And I don't over edit my nails, like my videos. I'm sorry. I don't over edit them. I'm really just showing you step by step. Here's how you can get that look that you want. You want that salon look. This is how you get it. We're going to go in and we're going to file those side walls. We're going to focus on shape, symmetry. We're making sure that we're tapering our nails. You want to start, when you start filing down and going around your cuticle area, you want to focus on that 180 side of the blade, on the 180 side of the file. You want to focus there, and you want to use your fingers to pull skin down so that you can really get in there and clean that up and shape that nicely. Take your time and file your nails. Stabilize it with your fingers, whatever feels natural to you. I show you different tips and tricks because different things work for different people, but try it. The other thing you want to make sure that you're doing is when you're using your nail buffer, you want to get a nail buffer that is, I would say, not as coarse. Because here's the thing, some nail buffers are literally nail files. They're too abrasive. They're like 90, they're 80 grit, 90 grit, 100 grit. And so when you go to put that buffer on and you're thinking you're smoothing everything out, and you look at your hand, it's like, what the hell happened? You have an abrasive buffer that realistically you can use as a nail file. And for those who may struggle with, what is it called? Carpal tunnel, using an abrasive buffer as a nail file will work for you. And I'm going to show you that in another video because I have a friend who has carpal tunnel, and I had to show her how to use the buffer to do her nails, and it worked out perfectly. So right here, this nail buffer, this is a Nail Dip Studio buffer. It's probably around a 200 to like 220. So it's soft. And it really is going to smooth out your nails. It is going to smooth your nails out. The other thing that you have to do, you have to feel the surface of your nail. It should feel smoother than a baby's butt. If you still feel grit and lumps and bumps and dips and this and that, and especially snags on the side, because maybe your nail or the product just created ripples on the side, like little ridges that later on may potentially cut your face or snag your clothing. You want to make sure that you're feeling for those textured areas so that you can smooth those out before you go to set your nails with your top coat. So just feel. You always want to feel. You always want to make sure you're lifting your nails up, you're filing underneath, you're not over filing the free edge, you're keeping it very clean and cute going around the cuticle area, coming down the side walls, and you're getting the shape. Because again, we're not having to over direct our nails because we already pre-shaped. So now this is the shape that I was sort of going for. And if I see that there was anything that's still a little uneven, I'm gonna go back in with my nail file and file that up. Now that we've done all of our filing and buffing and shaping, make sure you wash your hands. This is the segment where we're going to be using some acrylic paints. These are acrylic matte paints that I got from Walmart. And I usually get a few shades, so if your Walmart doesn't have all of the colors, you can always order them. Go to Michael's, go to Target, but I like to use acrylic paints. And these were maybe no more than like 50 to like 80 cents. So you can really go to, you know, your local Walmart in the arts and crafts section and grab some of these paints. This is something that I would use even if I was sort of accepting clients and doing nails full time. I always used acrylic paints, and you could use different ones, but I actually find that the matte ones, especially on the actual dip powder, it tends to pair better in my opinion. So I prefer to get that one. But as you can see, I'm customizing the shades that I want to use. So in this particular design, I think I want to use just some like simple shapes. This is always a great way to amp up your nails, especially if you have short nails. Using acrylic paints with simple designs, dots and lines and like squares and triangles. those types of shapes on short nails are so flattering. It's so cute, super chic, and it definitely will take your nail dip manicure to the next level if you're interested in doing that. So what I'm doing here is just, I want to play on with 3 colors today. I want to play with red, but I'm showing you, like, let's say for instance, if you have a red and a white, well, you have pink. You just have to blend the two together to get your desired shade. But it's very easy. It's just going back, taking those sort of shades that we know will either lighten the color up with a little white or darken the color up with a little black. And you can basically make any shade that you want if you have, you know, your basics. And that's something that I would tell anybody to get. Make sure you have your basics so you can always make the shades that you want. Now, right here, I'm grabbing my drawing utensils. So I tend to customize my brushes a little bit. And I believe this set that I have here, I got off of Amazon. But again, you can get some really good nail brushes from Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, as well as Amazon. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg, but you can actually, if you take your time, cut the actual hair down, whether it's synthetic or you know, some type of animal hair. You can always cut that down, cut the hairs down to get your desired shape, as well as thickness or thinness. If you're looking for, you know, a really thin liner and you're not seeing that, just cut a little bit from the sides, leaving the middle intact. And once you sort of get to that desired thickness, you would test it with a little paint just to make sure that it's moving the way that you want to move. If it's still too thick, cut a little bit off, keep cutting. And if you've sort of go in on the sides, then I would say rotate and then come at it from the opposite end. So basically front to back, because you just did left to right. So do front to back, and that way that'll give you a nice thin brush for drawing lines. So I'm also going to be using a dotter. I got this again from Amazon. You can probably get this at your local arts and crafts store, or if you don't have one, you can use a pen top, you can use a safety pin, you can use a hairpin. Just use what you have and follow the steps. So what I'm doing now is I drew that initial dot, planted that right dead in the center, and then I just started making it a little bigger by going and focusing on the outer edges of that circle, just to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, not too much, but just a little bit, because I really want to show the difference in size. I think that that's what really makes a simple design pop from just having a flat design. Like, yeah, we could do all the same dots and all the same, you know, in the same row, same size, but it's kind of flat. It doesn't give it that, like, that little pop. Okay, and so that's why I like to do 3 different, I would say, circle sizes: small, medium, and large. I like doing that because I find that it just gives your design a little bit more character as you're going through. Now, I'm going to draw a straight line, but then I'm going to flare it a little bit at the end. And what happened was I made a mistake, to be completely honest with you. See, right around towards the end, I put too much pressure on the brush, which put too much product down, which basically made the brush turn. So instead of taking this off, I'm just going to add a little bit more paint to that brush, and I'm going to bring the other side out some and almost make like a peak at the end, if you will, almost like a triangle at the end. I'm going to make that just to make it a little wider, so that I'm basically correcting my mistake that I made. And this is, again, a part of nail artistry. A lot of times we make mistakes on y'all's nails. I'm sorry for all the nail techs, but sometimes we be messing. We be like, oh damn, in our head, and we're just like, okay, can I fix this? Can I fix this? Can I fix this? And you will never know that we made a mistake. But a lot of times we be dropping the ball. We be like, wait, that wasn't what that was supposed to be like. Let me see if I can correct it. I can correct it. And if I can't, then I'll just take it all off. But we don't want to have to take it off. That's part of finding the beauty and the mistake. But a lot of times we be okay, let me get back. So as you can see, I'm just flaring that out a little bit at the end, correcting that mistake. And it actually turned into something, right? I promise you, a lot of times some of our best designs come from a mistake, 100%. So now I'm gonna clean. I just off camera just took a little bit of water. Usually I keep like a little cup of water to the side. You don't need a lot, like just maybe like if an inch, a half an inch will do as well. And I'm rinsing the brush off, and then that's when you saw me swing back in with a clean brush. And so I took my liner brush and I dipped it into that dark burgundy, and I'm basically just drawing a line down the center of the circles that we just created. And again, just giving it some character. And so since I wanted to basically look cohesive, I'm gonna take that same liner using that same darker shade of burgundy, and I'm gonna draw a line straight down the center. And you can't really see it here. You can, but you really can't. You'll see it towards the end, but it definitely gave an amazing contrast that I liked. So I happened to step away to grab something to eat. A lot of times when I'm shooting videos, it usually takes a few hours, most of the day, to actually shoot, but you can tell that my paints are drying up and I don't want to recreate them. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm taking some of the red and using that to wake up whatever paint, whatever I can save from the burgundy shade, I'm going to try to save. But if I can't, it's okay. I'm just going to make do with what I can make do, because I really don't want to mix everything up again. And I just need a little bit just to create the next design. So what I'm doing is, again, using the dotter, using the shade, the part of the color that is not completely dry, and taking that and drawing my shape. As you can see, I'm taking the larger dot and I'm putting it towards the end. So we basically reversed the design in the center. And now I am using, again, the same sort of concept, 3 dots, different sizes, coming up the middle, somewhat off-centered a little bit, but it's okay. It's all right, trust me. No, if anybody's looking at your nails that hard, then, you know, again, move, bye. And so now what I'm doing is I'm taking the red shade, and similar to what we did on the middle finger, I'm just going to draw a line down the center. You want to make sure that before you sort of add any additional lines to your initial dots, you want to make sure that those dots are dry. So my dots are completely dry, so now it's okay for me to draw the line down the center. Now, if you wanted more of an ombre look, then you could kind of do that with the wet paint, and it will sort of ombre your look for you. So right now I'm looking at my nails and I'm like, this is too basic. This is too basic. So let me take it a step further. And I don't want to do anything too crazy, but I do want to give it a little bit more character. So I'm going to draw a line through the largest circle across the entire nail. And as you can tell, I'm keeping my finger and my hand straight and flat to the table. Why? Because I'm trying to get precision. I want to make that line as straight as possible, so I'm not really moving my hand that much. And you can sort of see that that's like the end result, and it just gives you a different spin. It's like a design without it looking too crowded. It doesn't look too messy. It's not like you can't identify what shapes those are. You can see all of that, and it's not murky. It's just if you have my preference, it's my preference. My preference is if I have short nails, and I do, I like simple designs. I think they wear so well on short nails. It is just the best thing. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure that your nails are completely dry, meaning the acrylic paint. Make sure that's dry before you put on your top coat. This is, by the way, step number 4, the top coat. So I've allowed everything to dry. I'm adding on that first layer of that top coat, and I did that on my pointer finger. I put the top coat, my first layer, and now I'm going back in with my second layer. And again, that's just going to give me that shine. It's going to give me that gel-like look, always sweeping the free edge and sealing everything. And that is the look. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you try it out for Valentine's Day. I'm actually running a Valentine's Day special. So if you're interested, head over to naildipstudio.com. Thank you. Bye.